Hello movie barfs and welcome back to the channel. Some movies are landmarks of their eras for their specific genre. The film Dirty Harry is the quintessential serial killer / cop movie of the 70s. Released in 1971, the same year as The French Connection, it's safe to say that Dirty Harry has edged it out over time to be the more memorable film. It remains one of director Don Siegel's best work, and it launched Clint Eastwood to further stardom from his spaghetti western days, creating an iconic character and a franchise that would span for almost 2 decades. It was truly groundbreaking at the time, inspiring many of the tropes we see in mainstream American movies today. Its plot structure seems almost cliché now, but back in 1971, it was controversial stuff. The movie is set in San Francisco, and it wastes no time in setting up the stakes. Right from the opening scene, we see a serial killer sniping his first victim, a young girl swimming on a rooftop. When the police arrive on scene, our protagonist, Inspector Hallie Callahan, aka Dirty Harry, finds a chilling ransom note from the killer, saying that he will enjoy killing one person every day until his ransom demands are met. Most movies from the 70s tend to start off slow, but I'd say this movie has probably the most attention-grabbing introduction for a film of its time. When the killer later kidnaps a young girl, Harry is assigned the case, and it becomes a game of cat and mouse between cop and criminal, enforcer and killer. But when things go sideways later, Harry finds himself caught between abiding by the technical letter of the law or disobeying his superiors to do the right thing. This movie is a classic, and it has a lot of things going for it, the most obvious one being the titular character of Dirty Harry himself. I'd say this is Clint Eastwood's most definitive role of his entire career, more so than The Man with No Name in the Sergio Leone trilogy. Clint Eastwood owned the role so much that it's odd to consider that he was the fourth choice for the role behind names like Frank Sinatra, John Wayne, and Paul Newman. It's doubtful whether any of them could have done the role justice as well as Clint did, and I suppose it was a case of serendipity that he got to play the part instead of them. On the outset, Harry is a tough-as-nails, no-nonsense kind of guy. He's a pretty layered character. He's cocky and cynical, yet has a strong sense of justice and enough humor and charisma to make him realistic and likable despite his flaws. And it sure didn't hurt that the filmmakers made the character flat out cool. I mean, we have a cop who engages in a bank robbery shootout while still chewing his lunch, firing that hand cannon of a .44 Magnum, a product placement that Smith & Wesson will forever be grateful for. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that this film gave us one of the most iconic but misquoted lines in Hollywood, pulled off in a way that only Eastwood can. Harry is somewhat of a paradox. In a sense, he is somewhat of an outlaw himself. He has little regard for authority and despises his cowardly and incompetent superiors. That monstrosity of a firearm that he chooses to carry isn't exactly standard issue, and he has no qualms about bending or breaking the rules to do the right thing. But at the same time, Harry is also convicted by deep morals, something his superiors exploit at his expense. No matter the odds stacked against him, Harry cannot help but to protect the weak and to fight injustice. It is this compassion and sense of justice that Harry's superiors take advantage of. They deliberately assign him all the dirty, difficult, and unpleasant jobs, knowing that his morals won't allow him to walk away, hence earning him the nickname Dirty Harry. The other main character of the film, the Scorpio serial killer, also contributes to a large part of the film's success. Andrew Robinson gave the performance of a lifetime, a performance so chilling that he received death threats and even had to get an unlisted phone number. And after this film, he struggled to get work after being typecast as a murdering psychopath. His performance was creepy, it was downright unsettling, and the scariest thing was that it was realistic. There's no fantasy barrier as with characters like the Joker here. The action scenes were simple but tense, especially in the sequence when Harry has to answer a series of phones before his time runs out. And what makes it more amazing is that apart from the sound of footsteps, the scene is absolutely silent, with no soundtrack, but just relying on the tension from the Scorpio killer's time limit. And I believe this chase scene here served as major inspiration for the Victor Zsasz side mission in Batman Arkham City. Same principle here. Our hero has to quickly travel from phone to phone before the killer executes a hostage. Towards the latter portion of the film, it explores the flaws of the justice system and the theme of whether one should obey the letter of the law or disobey it for the greater good. Harry is caught between the two. He's sworn to uphold the law, but the law dictates that he cannot conduct a legal search without a warrant and that he should not use torture as a means to obtain a confession. Later, when Scorpio is helpless before Harry, he starts citing his civil rights as a shield to protect himself. It's outrageous, and it triggers us that it's coming from someone who freely destroyed the lives of others. And yet here he is, hypocritically exploiting the state's protection. But what's worse is that the state actually agrees with him, with the DA and Harry's superiors telling him that the evidence against Scorpio is inadmissible. Harry's disillusionment with the legal system worsens, and he then has to take matters into his own hands, leading to a climactic showdown at the end. Overall, Dirty Harry was a movie that had it all. A thrilling plot, well-written characters brought to life by a talented cast, an amazing soundtrack, and great cinematography of the San Francisco area. It's well-paced at only an hour and 40 minutes with no fluff, and every scene connects to the overall larger picture. It's definitely one of the top contenders for best action movies of the 70s. And if you're looking for some of Don Siegel's best work as a director or Clint Eastwood's most memorable work as an actor, it doesn't get much better than this. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you next time.